All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Libertarian Party of California Executive Committee meeting for Monday, May 20th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:05 p.m. If the secretary would please call the roll whenever he's ready.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Okay, we have Mr. Malzahn.
Present.
Mr. Alfstad. I know he's there. Mr. Alfstad, you there? I think he's trying
He's
to.
here. He's here physically. He's just not here mentally. Apparently, his mic isn't working. Do you want to try to log back out and then come back in while we finish the roll? He's here. Well, he gave us a thumbs up, so that was either an up yours or a thumbs up. But we'll take that as he's here.
Ms. Hallisey is here. He's trying to.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. Am I correct that Mr. Butts is no longer Central Area Coordinator, or does he remain in that position?
He remains in that position. Okay. Had he missed tonight's meeting, yeah, but he is very much in that position. Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Butts, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Ms. Stump?
Here.
Mr. Dean? Lauren Dean?
He will be here after the Credentials Committee meeting, I suspect. He said he'd be running a bit late.
Okay. Mr. Brown?
Same thing as Lauren Dean.
Okay.
Here.
Oh, I think Graham said he was. Okay.
Yeah, so he is here. So Mr.
Graham
Brown is here.
Yeah.
He's dual. He has two devices apparently. Mr. Dean does not have two devices, so he has to split his time.
The popular people getting double booked.
Yeah.
Mr. Byrd?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, I can
I'm
hear
here.
you.
Yes.
Okay, I'm here. Sorry.
How about Charles Byrd? Mr. Byrd?
Here?
There we go. Mr. Hartwig? No. Mr. Jimenez? No. Mr. Nichols?
Here.
Mr. Strachan?
Present.
Mr. Sullivan?
Here.
Mr. Cardin? No. Mr. Apostol?
Mr. Cardin said he would try to make it. He says he has spotty connection, something or another. He may show up later.
Okay, great. And Mr. Apostolopoulos?
Present.
Thank you. And that completes the roll, Mr. Chair.
Excellent. So we will seat Mr. Apostolopoulos in the vacancy. Since we don't have a first at-large alternate, we have a second, Mr. Apostolopoulos. He'll be seated for the at-large vacancy that we currently have. So he will be a voting member tonight. Moving up to the big leagues now. All right. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. So as everyone saw, I hope I sent the finalized version of the agenda. I removed some stuff and moved a few things around just based on the time constraints here. I hope that everyone got a chance to see it. I will now entertain motions to adopt the agenda if everyone is okay with that.
I move to adopt the agenda.
All right, moved by Ms. Halsey to adopt the agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
I heard Mr. Strachan, or maybe he's just my favorite. I don't know. So we'll give him the second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Is there any objection to adopting the agenda as submitted? Hearing none, the agenda is adopted. Next, we'll move on to public comment. As a reminder, this is a total of 10 minutes, 2 minutes per comment. Please raise your hand if you wish to give public comment. This also extends to XCOM members, but they will go last since they get to talk throughout the entirety of the meeting. So would anyone wish to give public comment at this time? Going once, going twice. All right, no takers. Excellent. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the April 15th, 2024 Executive Committee meeting minutes. Those were sent out by the secretary on the public list. I hope everyone got a chance to look them over. I will now entertain a motion to approve those executive committee meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes of our last meeting.
All right, the treasurer is on it. So moved by Ms. Halsey to approve the April 15th, 2024 XCOM meeting minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by, I want to say it was Mr. Sullivan.
You are correct. That was me.
All right, so is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Is there any objection to approving the April 15th, 2024 XCOM meeting minutes? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. All right, next we'll move on to the officers report. So as I mentioned in the public list, due to a lot of things concerning convention and some of my duties on the LNC, I have not had a chance to write one, but it would pretty much be a carbon copy since not much has changed since I presented mine at convention just a month or two ago. And I did submit that before at the post-convention meeting, I believe the written version of it. So just a couple of updates for those of you that haven't seen. The Judicial Watch lawsuit against the Secretary of State has been filed. There is a press release already that has gone out by Judicial Watch, which is great. So we will be sending our own press release. I meant to do it this week, but there's just not going to be any time. Well, it's already in the news cycle. It has been picked up by some media, which is good. So we'll do our own after convention is over. So we'll go ahead and release that, and that should be good to go. There are no pending legal actions for our Libertarian Party of California convention at this time, which is great. So everything is tidied up there. We are looking off, and I'll talk about this a little bit with the all committees report later on, but my focus now that I will not be seeking to be on the LNC anymore will be more California focused and driven. I'm very excited about a lot of the committees that are kicking off. So strategic planning being one of them. We're going to hear from Mr. Forbes and Ms. Eiler later on. Very excited about revamping membership again and making sure that we're tapping into that market for members. The ones that have lapsed, the ones that have just forgotten, there have been a few that have called with credit card complications. So we've sorted some of that out, which is really good. But the recruitment committee is being headed by the vice chair, which I'm very excited about. That was something that I spearheaded last. I didn't chair it, but I did. It was my idea to separate membership and recruitment. So we do have some plans to get that underway, and we'll be reaching out to a couple of affiliates to do some beta testing and see how this would work. So recruitment is different than membership. Remember, membership is trying to tap into markets that we already have. So we already have all the data and all the people that were once members and maybe they left because they have Mises derangement syndrome, or they just don't like me, or I don't know. We have to find out. So if we can get some of those people to renew, that's going to be fantastic. If they don't, then we have to get new blood either way, right? So that's where recruitment comes in. So I'm very confident the vice chair's plan for recruitment is going to do very well, and we'll be looking forward to getting some of that started off. And then strategic planning, of course, as I may have told you all before, so that drives the direction of the party. We're going to be hearing from some of the ideas that we have. This all has to go through the executive committee, so I am very excited about that. But not much else has changed. Our finances are still great. I mean, we made 26,000 plus after convention, which is fantastic. So we're going to put some of that money to good use, just kind of spreading it out during these committees. So I'll be working with the budget committee that I'm on to figure out how much money we want to allocate to, some projects. As stuff pans out, if it works out, we'll continue doing it. If it doesn't, then we shift gears. It's not really hard. So we have to try new things and see what sticks, and shift and be able to move appropriately if it doesn't. So I believe that is it for my chair's report. I will now field any questions with the remaining time. All right. That was so comprehensive. Everyone's like, good job, Mr. Chair. All right, fantastic. We'll move on to the secretary's report, and Mr. Edgar, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, all of you have seen the secretary reports, which get into the weeds about which minutes have been approved, which counties have changed their bylaws to the extent that's happened recently, the most recent versions of the bylaws and operating procedures manual for the state party, Yeah, I mean, I don't normally get questions about these particular issues. You've all seen my membership reports too, and so that's probably fairly self-explanatory. There's one that's attached to the end of the report for the most recent month. Yes, if anyone has any questions or anything's unclear, feel free to let me know.
I have a question. Are you happy about the no email motions? That's got to be a lot easier on you, right?
I'm ecstatic about them, Mr. Chair.
We were all very skeptical about that when it was proposed at the last second, but you know what? When something works, you have to give it to Mr. Starr. If it works, it works. It makes your job easier. We don't have to keep track of our emails. That's great. Well, I mean, you should still be keeping track of your emails, but nevertheless, awesome. Any other questions for the secretary? Excellent. Moving on, we will move on to the treasurer's reports. Ms. Halsey, you have the floor.
Okay, so I'm reporting on the period of January 1st through April 30th of this year. Our current balances in all of the accounts total $71,627. The major things are, we, as a result of income, let's see, let me pull the total
Did you want to do a
income for
screen share? Did you want to do a screen share, or are you fine? I can, it's either way. I mean, we all saw the report, so.
Yeah, so essentially, I don't know what you want me to read from it, but essentially, our donations are down about $2,000 for this period. Membership dues are up 5,000. The convention event for this period was up 3,500. So our total income for this period is up almost 7,000. Expenses, I'm going to be doing the county due sharing, so that is showing that we have a large variance there. So we I'm just waiting for people to get back to me with their correct addresses. So that's about it. We're down $6,000 on total expenses.
Very cool. And what was the time period again? Because I got this wrong when I read the report, and I had to clarify with you offline, just for everyone's edification. What's the time period that the report is?
January 1st, 2024 through April 30th, 2024.
Okay, fantastic. So just so everyone is aware, I mean, as of this moment, just in the LPCA account, and I didn't check the time, the period, I'm sorry, for the report initially, or I did see it and then I just like messed up the dates. Just so that everyone's aware, that included the expenditures from convention during that time. So we had to cut, between all the speakers and then obviously the food and the hotel rooms and all of that. I think it was a 40-ish thousand, I'm doing it off the top of my head, expenditure that month. So that's why the bank account was so low. But then obviously it replenished with the revenue that we got from convention. So right now in just the general fund, we have over $77,000, and then everything else has pretty much remained the same. So $77,000 in the general fund, over $5,000 in the FEC fund, and then what is it, 18-ish thousand dollars for the candidate support committee fund. So just so everyone's aware about the time frames and stuff. And we were supposed to get this is not on Ms. Halsey, this is on me. The website is still being funky. I've contacted multiple people to see what we can do. Hopefully the new WITCOM committee can find out what's going on with Neon, or just do something better than I can with WordPress and Neon and how they're talking to each other, because some new members that are coming through the pipeline, we're keeping track of them manually, and I've asked counties to keep track of them manually. So they're not able to select an affiliate when the new members come in. So that's part of the issue with the due sharing as well. So we're still trying to sort that out. I don't know when that option went away. Nothing was messed with on that part of the website. All the other stuff was updated, but maybe something got caught in the crossfire there. So we're still trying to figure that out, and that'll be a priority as soon as convention is over. Are there any questions for the treasurer? Excellent. We will move on to the area coordinator, not plural, reports, because there's only one responsible area coordinator. Ms. Stump, you have the floor.
Thank you. During the April XCOM meeting, due to lack of enough officers being eligible, San Francisco is temporarily unaffiliated, which we voted on as an XCOM. So the state will hold San Francisco's dues until the present chair, Starchild, can find executive committee members who are eligible to hold office for the county affiliate. San Mateo was briefly affiliated. They had an election January 31st. Unfortunately, Ms. Trinalyn Halsey, who was elected chair, had to step down due to commitments for personal and work and time, and there was no vice chair elected, so they have once again become unaffiliated again. And Mr. Mike Forbes, who is here, also reached out to me today about possibly talking about Marin County, which I have not had time today since I've been prepping for convention. So we will be, once I come back from convention, we'll be talking about how we could maybe get Marin affiliated. We'll be talking more on that. And then, let's see, since the last report, Shasta County has also become unaffiliated due to Mr. Miller's needing to step down for family as chair of Shasta County. So Shasta County has temporarily become disaffiliated, but hopefully once things smooth out again, Mr. Miller can once again retake his position as chair. And as in terms of major news for Northern California, that's about it. The rest of the more minor details for each county can be found in the report.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ms. Stone.
And I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the Northern Area Coordinator? My favorite coordinator, because I'm in the North, and also because she's delightful and gives me alcohol. All right. Hearing none, we'll move on. Actually, before we move on to the next item on the agenda, I just want to remind the secretary there I did let some guests in, so just keep track of that. And then the iPhone, Mr. Jimenez, I'm assuming that's you. I think maybe there's an audio issue. I'm 90% sure. I'm gonna just message him and confirm that that's him. So then that wouldn't change that would change the vote tally for later, but Mr. Apostolopoulos would still be seated. Let me just confirm, and then we'll hear the rest of the report. Actually, while I do that, we'll go ahead and move on to our LNC Region 4 rep report. Ms. Hayes, you have the floor.
Good evening, everybody. So I submitted a short report this time. Mr. Maligan, when he had the position, used to basically run through every single vote we'd taken and the numbers for each of the votes. Since our December meeting, which was at the beginning of December 2023, we've had so many votes. I went through Karen and ballot spreadsheet or ballot tracker last night, and it was pages and pages, and I just did not have time, quite frankly, to put them all into a document for you all. However, some of the most important things we've been voting on are ongoing issues with the Michigan lawsuits. At this point, there are multiple suits related to Michigan. There was the LNC initiated trademark suit against Michigan, which is currently in the appellate stage. If you recall, the LNC won a preliminary injunction stopping a faction of the Michigan people from using trademarked materials. It was a crest, and as well as calling themselves Libertarian Party of Michigan. That injunction, they filed a motion to reconsider, which was denied. So now it's in the appellate stage, and I believe we have oral arguments coming up sometime after National Convention. Michigan also held a delegate nominating convention in March, where the two factions were both present, and the faction, I'm not sure which, if you guys don't know, that, let's just call them Chatterton and Saliba. The Saliba factions, many delegates were seated for national, and then they had sued, and the LNC was voting on whether or not to support that lawsuit. Ultimately, the Michigan defendants ended up being self-represented due to a holdup with the LNC's vote, and they ended up succeeding in court, and that lawsuit was thrown out. And then we also had a derivative suit filed against us by a member of the member of the LNC named Beth Vest. She filed against Ms. McCardle specifically and the LNC. That suit is only in the very initial stages, and no response has been filed yet. I will let you know when that happens. And otherwise, we're just gearing up for convention. The other thing I did want to note is the other thing the LNC is doing, in the process of doing, is renting out the LPHQ building. Part of the reason it is currently vacant is because the staff members are located, not in Virginia, and they are capable of doing their work remotely. It's also, apparently, I've never been there, a very small building that can't really fit much of anything. It sounds like a hallway from everything I've heard. I don't know, but there is a belief that it will yield some nice rent based on location and things like that. And we are also we were considering a line of credit using that building as collateral. I believe since we've had a significant increase in convention purchases, package purchases, et cetera, since the Trump announcement specifically. I'm on all the emails, and my inbox is flooded since that announcement. I don't believe that's going to be necessary at this point, but I will keep everybody updated if that is the case. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask now or send me an email.
One quick thing. So the line of credit is still being pursued. There are just complications surrounding it. So that is expected to take place possibly with the new LNC after convention. It's still very much needed.
So my understanding from Todd's last email was that he said it was no longer needed, but I think the ball had already been rolling. So
it's complicated without breaking executive session. It's still ongoing. So it's something that is needed and still ongoing. So that email wasn't completely accurate, but that is Mr. Hagopian's MO.
Okay,
all right.
Well, that is that on that. All other sort of motions and whatnots have been other things that don't concern you people. It shouldn't really concern anybody. A lot of silliness has been happening.
What do you mean, you people?
I mean, you know what I mean.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hayes, our esteemed Region 4 representative. Are there any questions for the Region 4 representative? Anything LNC related, anything report related, anything that she presented tonight?
Oh, and I just hope to see everybody at National in DC.
All right. Nothing for the Region 4 rep? Excellent. All right, thank you, Ms. Hayes. Moving on to committee reports. So we're gonna start off with strategic planning. This is a little unorthodox, but let's do something different. Let's try it. So Mr. Forbes and Ms. Eiler. So Mr. Mike Forbes is on the strategic planning committee. As you all know, we all appointed him on here. He has some ideas that he wants to run by the XCOM, get some feedback. So whatever format he wants to do it in. So if we have questions, let's raise hands so that I'll let him pitch some of the stuff that he is thinking about for strategic planning, and then we can discuss it. No formal motions are being made. Most of the committees will again be convening after convention. So they're scheduled for the first week of June to kick off officially. So, but until then, Mr. Mike Forbes, assuming that there's no objection to hearing from Mr. Mike Forbes, is there any objection? Nice. Okay, Mr. Forbes, please take it away and feel free to introduce yourself and give us the lowdown here.
Okay, my name is Mike Forbes. I live in Marin, father of 4, 50 years old, graduate of Cal, MBA at Point Loma Nazarene. I do a lot of work with the free speech movement since the pandemic started. I'm the California representative for the American Council of Trustees and Alumni and the Alumni Free Speech Alliance, and the founder of the calsfm.org website. When I saw the call for volunteers for strategic planning, I jumped in and I presented my ideas at the first meeting that I attended, and I was told to present them to XCOM, so here I am. I'm just going to run through them real quick. No overview, just going to hit them like bullet points. When it comes to grassroots recruiting and membership, it seems to me like we'd be more successful if we incentivized people, gave them a basket of goods that made it more palatable to pay $25 a year to be a member of the party. Like right now, they fork out their money for the privilege of calling themselves a member, but we gave them things like, I just jotted down some ideas, gas discounts through upside.com, or groceries through HelloFresh, or had some kind of promotion with Lyft. You know, you get like $5 or $8 off your Lyft. You get a basket of groceries that's worth $50. You get 50 cents off a gallon of gas. That adds up pretty quick, and it makes it more than a break-even proposition to pay $25 to be a member of the party. So that's it for grassroots. That's my incentivizing idea. All these ideas are in the Strategic Planning Committee's shared folder. If you care to take a look at them, it's 2 pages. It reads quick. I'm familiar with the LP strategy to win local races where elected officials have the ability to cancel federal laws like sheriff or city council. And I think that that's a wise strategy, but it also occurs to me that you might be passing up on some of the low-hanging fruit when it comes to people who can self-fund. Celebrities from LA who can afford to pay their own way through a campaign, like a vanity campaign for a Bill Maher or a Sharon Stone, or some of those lower, like third-tier Hollywood stars who have libertarian leanings. If we were to reach out to them or goad them through online touches via Twitter or Facebook, you might convince somebody like a Kirk Cameron or Scott Baio to run for office in LA, which would raise the party profile. That's just a suggestion for candidates. You know, if the goal is to raise the party profile, you might be passing up some of these athletes, celebrities, Silicon Valley money guys, the hedge fund guys, the venture capitalists, crypto guys, who wouldn't sneeze at a $500,000 campaign. Like they would loan themselves the money, then pay themselves back through donations. They might actually win an office. Idea number 3 is, if you wanted to control the narrative in the state, you could crowdsource the ideas by giving party members access to artificial intelligence. I found 3 websites or 3 AI tools that are available for free. Have a contest for the best meme or the best video or the best cartoon that has a California-centric message, and then recognize the winner for the best state message or any one of the 58 counties or any one of the regions. But we introduce the dues paying members or anybody who's on our mailing list to this idea to come up with your own meme, come up with your own video, come up with your own cartoon, and in that way might help the party wrest control of the narrative in the media or on the internet. Idea number 4, this is probably my strongest idea, the one that I'm most vehement about, and that is, you got to unify the communications for the party. Like, you got Discord and email and Facebook and all these different things that are going on. My thesis through the free speech movement is that All these websites that are centralized are going to become government appendages because it's going to be impossible for them to comply with the regulations that the government's going to pass when it comes to things about disinformation and misinformation. The party needs to have access to a sovereign, decentralized, encrypted communication source. And in my opinion, there's a technology called Urbit, and Urbit is the way to go. You can acquire an identity for free. The hosting is free. It's encrypted. It's sovereign. You can take it with you. If you decide you don't want to be a part of the LP or you don't want to be a part of the Urbit network, you still maintain control of the identity. You can look it up in the document that I posted in the Strategic Planning Committee shared folder. And then idea number 4 is self-sustaining profit centers. I had 5 ideas in there for how the party can raise money. Go and look at that document and feel free to email me or find me on Urbit. I don't do Twitter. I don't do Facebook. I'm happy for feedback there or here and now.
Very cool. Thank you, Mr. Forbes. So a lot to digest there. As you said, all of this is available to all XCOM members in the strategic planning folder that is located within the chair's drive. But are there any, I think Miss Eiler will not be able to join us. I haven't heard back from her in a bit. I knew she had another commitment too, but she really wanted to speak onto some of the stuff. But as I mentioned before, this will be driving the political strategy of the party. Anything that ends up having to be done will obviously go to the executive committee, and this will be a lot easier with standing meetings every month. That being said, are there any questions for Mr. Forbes? Any general comments? Anything that anyone would like to ask or say? All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Forbes. Go ahead.
I aced it.
You aced it. There you go. So cool. So we'll all share that, and then of course the Strategic Planning Committee already has its next meeting scheduled, and we're going to do a deeper dive into all these things after convention. I will just note for the record here, we've had 2 more guests, I believe, join, and Mr. Jimenez is with us, so he is seated. I believe that was Tim earlier, but since I can't confirm at this time, we'll say that he joined the meeting at 7:30 p.m. in his regular seated spot.
It's duly noted.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So moving on to the all committees report. So just so that everyone here is aware, all the committees have kicked off. Most of them, almost all of them have had their first kickoff meeting. So the welcome meetings that I started where they get access to their folders. I give them a rundown or a breakdown of what the committee is going to entail, what the previous committee was working on, what they might want to direct their attention to. Chairs have been selected for most every committee. I think the legislative committee is still waiting on their chair because the person that is likely going to be chair was not present at that meeting. They weren't able to attend due to medical reasons. But everyone has met except for Whitcomb, and I believe that's it. I think membership is the other one. So those are going to be scheduled for right after convention. That's going to be a welcome. Let's get into it right away. So all committees are scheduled to move on June, first week of June, second week of June, and officially kick off. And obviously, since we just elected our committees last month, and with all the, let's say, excitement surrounding the national convention, we didn't really have time to do anything additional. So there's no report because the chairs were just selected and they really haven't done anything yet since they just got appointed and started meetings. So expect a report from the committees that are in session by the next quarterly meeting. But I think that is it for the all committees report. And then of course we have financial standards, which is going to be selected shortly after this. So any questions about any of the committees? And then of course there are a few of them have vacancies still because we expanded the allotment of members for some of these committees. So the area coordinators, for instance, are automatically put in. The secretary has been put automatically on some of them. The officers have been kind of just thrown about and put where they need to be. But there are additional openings for lay people. So if any XCOM member or anybody else would like to join a committee, find out if there's a vacancy. All of that is updated on the website. So thanks to the secretary for that. Any questions? Excellent, man. You guys really want to get out of this thing. Okay, moving on to elections. So as I mentioned, financial standards, we punted to this meeting because, as you all know, per the OPM, the vice chair is the chair of financial standards per the OPM, and there are indefinite vacancies because he gets to decide how many people he thinks it would take to get the job done and for the committee to do its work. This time around, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he said that 2 in addition to himself would suffice. I believe that was the trend last time, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, with that being said, we have 3 applicants, Mr. Graham Brown, Mr. Kirk Sullivan, and Ms. Mimi Robson. Nominations are now open for Financial Standards Committee. The vice chair is already the chair. I will kick off nominations then. I will nominate Mr. Graham Brown for Financial Standards. Is Mr. Brown still on here? Where is he? Mr. Brown, do you accept your nomination? He is he's on the credentials committee call, so he's probably half paying attention. He did want to accept. The vice chair can confirm this, yes? Okay, a hearty nod. Ms. Stump.
Actually, Ms. Robson just had her hand up, unless that got timed out.
No, she just put in the chat that she removes herself from consideration. So.
Okay. I nominate Mr. Kirk Sullivan.
Fantastic. Okay. Are there any other nominations? Mr. Sullivan, I suspect that I don't want to assume. Do you accept your nomination?
Do accept my nomination, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. All right. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are now closed. Is there any discussion on the nominees? Hearing none, we'll go to a vote. I will go ahead and move to adopt Mr. Brown and Mr. Sullivan as a slate because Ms. Robson has removed himself from consideration. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Stump. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Is there any objection to adopting Mr. Graham Brown and Mr. Kirk Sullivan to join Financial Standards Committee as a slate? Hearing none, the motion passes. Excellent. All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda. So, removal of disqualified National Convention delegates. So, as you all remember, all of the delegates that were nominated at convention were seated. We didn't fill all 103 spots at convention. The motion that was made by Mr. Starr on page 29 of the meeting minutes made it clear that it was pending their qualification for, based on their qualification for delegate status. While I was going through the list and submitting everything to Credentials Committee, I came upon a name for someone that did not qualify at the time and still does not qualify now to be on the list. So I'm going to move to remove Ms. Kalish Morrow as a National Convention delegate for California based on the fact that she is still registered as no political preference, not libertarian as our bylaws require. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Stump. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Mr. Secretary, if you could do that when you're ready.
Okay. We'll start with Mr. Alvstad.
Oh, his mic is still being. Do you want to give a thumbs up if you say if you're voting yes, or he says aye in the chat, that'll suffice.
Okay, I will vote yes. Ms. Hollisey,
Yes.
Mr. Butts,
Aye.
Ms. Stump,
Aye.
Mr. Dean is not, I believe is still not here.
Correct.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Byrd,
Aye.
Mr. Hardwig is not here. You still not here, Mr. Hardwig? Okay.
Just ask him if he wasn't here.
That's a weird question, I know. Mr. Jimenez, you are now here, I believe. Mr. Jimenez?
Oh, he might have dropped off by accident. He is not here for this roll call vote.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. Strachan?
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan?
Aye.
And Mr. Apostolopoulos?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the vote is 11 to 0 to 0 to 0.
The chair will vote aye to make it unanimous. The motion passes. All right. Next item on the agenda is accepting National Convention delegate resignations. So as most of you, I think everyone on here knows, guests included, I sent out emails to everyone that was on the delegate list that was seated at convention to just confirm that they were in fact going, to see how many spots we would have. Obviously, people always drop off. There's nothing that we can really control, but it would just be nice to be able to see others that were in need of a delegate spot and kind of submit a final list to the credentials committee so they could do their work. Let me see. I believe it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 people confirmed that they were unable to fulfill their obligation as delegates in Washington, D.C. for various reasons. They replied to my email or text or phone call. So they confirmed one way or another, either verbally or through written word, that they were not able to attend. And so based on their inability to attend and their desire to be removed from the list, I will move to accept the following convention delegate resignations and remove them from the final credentials list, or the credentials list being sent to the credentials committee tonight. And those names are Michael Acree, Jordan Eiler, Noah Eiler, Zoe Eiler, Derek Fabian, Marshall Fechner, David Gorsch, Robert Griffiths, Matthew Hartwig, Max Jimenez, Tyler Yonke, Calvin Liu, Thomas Nichols, Roberto Nunez, Irma Ochoa, Sean Osborne, Manny Robledo, Kara Smith, Kirk Sullivan, Mary Beth Yuskavich. Is there a second?
I second.
Second.
Someone might have beat the treasurer to it, but I'm going to give it to her because she said it with such gusto. So seconded by Miss seconded by Miss Allesy. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Just a point of information, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
If there's a written version of the list that could be sent to me, or if that could be repeated now, whichever would be more convenient.
Oh yes, I'm so
Just to
sorry.
make sure I
should
have the
said that.
correct list.
I will give you I will send you the removals and the people that are being appointed in a list right after this meeting, so you don't have to like sit there furiously typing them out. I should have started with that. My apologies. Yeah, I wouldn't do that to you. I would have read them a lot slower if that were the case, but yes, I will definitely do that. All right. So is there any discussion? There was a point of information that was answered. Or point of order, sorry. Is there any discussion on this motion? All right, hearing none, we'll move to a vote, and we'll do this by a roll call vote whenever the secretary is ready.
Very well then. We'll begin with Mr. Alvstad.
Aye.
I will vote yes. Ms. Hallisey,
Yes.
Mr. Butts,
Yes.
Ms. Stump,
Aye.
Mr. Dean is not here. Mr. Brown, Graham Brown,
He might be in a heated discussion. We'll pass on him at the moment.
Mr. Byrd,
Aye.
Mr. Harwick is not here. Mr. Jimenez, did he come back?
He's not back yet.
Okay.
He must be going through a dead zone. I know he's coming home from work.
Mr. Nichols,
Aye.
Mr. Strachan,
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan,
Aye.
and Mr. Apostolopoulos.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the vote is 10 to 0 to 0 to 0.
The chair will vote aye. The motion passes unanimously. All right. Next item on the agenda, which is the appointment of National Convention delegates to fill vacancies. So our bylaws allow us to, the executive committee, to appoint people after convention to fill vacancies for a case such as this. And so I will now move to appoint the following delegates for the California delegation, all who have reached out and formally requested to be delegates should there be spots available for California. Jonathan Alvey, Crystal Marie Bender, Ryan Bremen, Aaron Clark, Stephen Mitchell Decker, Benjamin DeYoung, Michael A. Doyle, Colin Fitzgerald, Alice Logan Freeborn Hall, aka Daniel Logan Freeborn Hall, Noah Kirby, Lawrence Ludlow, Angela McArdle, Austin Paget, Clinton James Polar, Avi Rocklin, Andrew Ranta, Brandon Ruman, Nathan Sims, Trevor Stepp, Benedict Thielen, Dominic Thielen, Jerome Thielen, Nick Thielen, Daniel Wojcicki, Daniel Ziemba. And that gives us 103 delegates exactly. Is there a second for this motion?
I second.
Second.
Ooh, second. Oh, the gusto was there, but Mr. Nichols, we're quick to the punch there. So Mr. Nichols gets the second. Is there any discussion on this motion? All right, hearing none, we will move to a roll call vote whenever the secretary is ready, and he can be assured that he will be CC'd in this email. So shortly after this, because I know the credentials committee is currently in a meeting and the time crunch is real, I will send that email now and I will CC you so that you have that list as well.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chair. All right, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Alvstad,
Aye.
I will vote yes. Ms. Hallisey,
Yes.
Mr. Butts,
Aye.
Ms. Stump,
Aye.
and Mr. Dean is not here. Mr. Brown is still in his meeting. Mr. Byrd,
Aye.
okay. Mr. Jimenez is still not back.
I'm here.
Oh, you are, okay.
Oh, he's back now. Yeah, there he is.
Sorry,
okay.
I've been having like technical difficulties all from all different angles.
Well, I'm glad those have been resolved.
Yeah.
Do you know what you're voting on?
I do not. I literally just hopped on right now again. I was on and then I got kicked off and so I had to get back in.
So really quickly, so just so you're aware, and you can pass on this if you want. So we are moving to appoint, I believe it's 25 delegates to California, to the California delegation for National Convention. So that brings our delegate count to our max, which is 103. And I just read off the names of the people.
Perfect. No, that's fine. I've seen it. Cool. We're good to go.
So is that an aye? A cool, a cool doesn't count as a.
Mr. Nichols,
Aye.
Mr. Strachan,
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan,
Aye.
Mr. Apostolopoulos, Nick Apostolopoulos.
Sorry, aye.
Okay. The vote, Mr. Chair, is 11 to 0 to 0 to 0.
The chair will vote aye to make it unanimous. Excellent. The motion passes. Just a reminder to Mr. Ferreira, public comment was earlier. We are not accepting comment from the gallery at this time. All right. So moving on, actually, let me just send that email now, just so we'll stand at ease for like 10 seconds. And so you should have that in your inbox, Mr. Secretary, so you don't have to furiously type or guess spellings or anything like that. Okay. All right. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is the resolution concerning speaker invitations at the National Convention. So I believe there was a working doc, and I put the text up on the public list. Let me just pull that up really quickly. And this was a joint effort by Mr. Strachan and Mr. Dean. And I thank them very much thank you very much for taking the time to draft something. And let me just pull it up here. And so I will just read off the, wait, that's not it. Sorry. Give me just a minute. I don't know why I can't find, oh, here it is, sorry. So I will go ahead and do a quick screen share here so that everyone can see it. And it will be, oh, I can't do that because it's my email and it's going to show it. Oh, actually I can, just kidding. I can do that without showing my entire inbox here. Okay, so I'm just going to pull it from the business list. And I'm sorry, give me just 1 second. That's not what I wanted to do. No, we're not going to do that. Sorry, speaking of technical difficulties. This is after I just called Mr. Strachan a boomer earlier today. This is where I find myself with. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Looks good on my end.
Okay, perfect. So the resolution that was jointly drafted here by Mr. Strachan and Mr. Dean is the LPCA Executive Committee looks forward to the LP National Convention in Washington, D.C., where our delegates will participate in the selection of a nominee to represent the Libertarian Party and the cause of a world set free in the 2024 presidential election. We expect that nominee will be a principled libertarian who will vigorously prosecute the cause of liberty against the nominees of the legacy parties. We are aware of concerns expressed by some of our members over the invitation to former President Donald J. Trump to address the convention. We note these concerns, but we do not share them. We accept that there is a risk inherent in the invitation to Mr. Trump, but we embrace that risk. To paraphrase Benjamin Franklin, where there is no risk, there is ultimately no freedom. We believe the risk of inviting Trump is worth the opportunity it affords to put our principles and policy positions in front of a much wider audience by means of the media spotlight he will surely bring to our convention. This committee commends the high-profile risks taken with the speaker lineups at this year's convention. We note that many of the speakers themselves are bold risk takers. Dr. Peter McCullough risks his career and reputation to oppose the COVID regime, while Gabriel Shipton will be present representing his brother, Julian Assange, who has risked much and suffered greatly simply for speaking truth to power. We urge libertarians everywhere to look to their example in the unprecedented opportunity offered at this year's convention. It is time for each of us individually to put our best foot forward in a full-throated defense of principles and freedom in front of a spotlight of intimidating intensity. Let us not shrink from this risk. Success or failure here does not depend on, quote, the media, end quote, quote, normal people, end quote, or any kind of, quote, them, end quote. Success or failure here depends on each of us. It depends on you. It's time to be brave. And that is the resolution in full. I will leave it on the screen for those that still wish to see it. So before we go, I know how this goes for libertarians, and anticipating that, I'm going to ask first and foremost that I'm going to ask that, I mean, does anyone have comments or general? We'll have discussion before someone makes a motion when they're ready. Is everyone okay with this? Are there general thoughts before there's a motion in a second, and then we have to bother with amendments, you know, amendments and all that stuff. So any questions, comments, or concerns from the executive committee? And if there's enough silence, someone can go ahead and move to adopt this resolution. It will require 3/4 as a reminder. So pretty much everybody here of the entire executive committee. So I believe all but one person here, since we have, I believe, 11 or 12, and we need 10 to pass it.
I move that we adopt it.
All right, the gusto is back right out of the gate. Ms. Halsey votes to adopt the aforementioned resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Ms. Stump. Let's do this by, oh, is there any further discussion on this resolution? I'll just say, I thank them again for putting it together. I think Mr. Cardin said it, for those that didn't see in the public list, that this is exactly how he was wanting to express his sentiments about the invited speakers at convention, and he just couldn't put it into words, and that this fully encompassed how he felt about this, and it was brilliantly written, and also that he supported it fully. So is there any further discussion? I'm just going to mute Mr. Bird really quickly. It sounds like some stuff going on. All right. Hearing none, whenever the secretary is ready, we will go ahead and he can call the roll.
All right. Okay, we'll begin with Mr. Alvstad.
Aye.
I will vote yes. Ms. Halsey,
Yes.
Mr. Butts,
Aye.
Ms. Stump,
Aye.
and we have no Lauren Dean, we have no Graham Brown.
I'll vote aye.
Oh,
Mr.
yeah, was
Brown
Graham
has
Brown?
resurfaced.
Okay, great.
You said his name 3 times. He's like Beetlejuice.
Mr. Bird,
Aye.
Mr. Jimenez,
Aye.
Mr. Nichols,
Aye.
Mr. Strachan,
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan,
Aye.
Mr. Apostolopoulos.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the vote is 12 to 0 to 0 to 0.
The chair will vote aye to make it unanimous, and the motion resolution passes. I will, well, right, I guess I'll do it after this meeting. I'm gonna, Mr. Sean Osborne from LA County requested that I send him the text once this passed, because he wanted to post it. He was very happy after he saw it on the business list. I do mean that sort of loosely, and that's kind of funny because he's blind, for those of you that don't know. But he requested that I text it to him so he could, you know, have it read to him. That was funny. Come on, some people smirked at least. Anyway, Mr. Sullivan, you smiled. Okay, I didn't get the one I was hoping for from Mr. Edgar, but it's okay. I can't win them all. I can't win them all. So he was very happy
I
with that.
reject
Apparently,
to being called out in this manner. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, go ahead.
So apparently there's a resolution that's anti this, that's going on in LA County right now. So he was very happy to see that the state party more aligns with his vision on this. So fantastic. Excellent. All right. we will move on to the next item on the agenda. These next two might be a bit difficult. So the two people that were going to spearhead it are not here. So that would be Mr. Cardin and Mr. Dean. Unless anyone else wants to, I mean, we can skip both of these things, but has anyone other than Mr. Dean looked at any potential meeting spots for the in-person executive committee meeting that we have to have sometime this year? A lot of silence, a lot of head shakes. Okay, so we can put a pin in this. This
Chair?
should be decided in June. Who is that?
Mr. Chair, I might.
Yes, ma'am.
I have my mother is an Athertonian resident. So, and she has this huge house. And we could use it for a meeting spot.
Ooh. Well, first of all, we just passed a resolution in support of former President Donald Trump, who we're all voting for because he's a secret LP plant. So it's huge, actually. We don't say huge. We drop the H and replace it with the Y. It's huge. But that's good. I mean, that's honestly something that we can discuss. I don't know if oh, that's a bigger selling point. Where is Atherton again?
Sort of near San Francisco.
I was like, it's up here somewhere. I just don't know where.
It's sandwiched between Menlo Park and Redwood City.
Okay,
So
that sounds
it's
right.
like
It's
about 15-20 minutes south of SFO.
Oh, nice. Okay. That is good to keep in. So let's talk about this offline a little bit more. We'll connect with Mr. Dean. If no one else has any proposals, I guess it can just be the three of us that kind of, I don't know if he's already looked for a place or found something. I know he had preference for Riverside and he expressed that to me a while back, but I am not opposed to free. Free sounds good, but we can definitely talk about it soon. So let's talk about it offline this week. Yeah. And then we can bring it to the executive committee. We can have a formal proposal and actually make a motion in June because that's the latest that we can do some of this stuff, as I mentioned in the email. But I do like this. Cool.
So another selling point of Atherton is evidently the billionaire Mark Andreessen lives there. Maybe we can invite him.
Why not? We got to I'm going to go make a pitch to Elon Musk next week. Maybe he'll want to buy the LP and
they'll both accept, for sure.
Maybe since my mom is on city council and she's going to be mayor again, I can ask her for the secret list of all libertarians in Atherton.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Let's pull all of our resources. We'll make that part of strategic planning. It's just to get billionaires to give us at least whatever Mr. Musk paid for Twitter. We'll ask for $1 billion less. I feel like that's reasonable. I know my
maybe we can ask for a small loan of $1 million from our former president.
Not a loan. It's more, we want to call it just a gift. We'll have to send it through.
It's a loan with a negative 100% payback scheme in the contract.
That's going to be really problematic, though. I think there's a conflict of interest because I've been told that I'm going to work for his campaign shortly after a convention. So if that's true, then I think that there's a conflict of interest there. So I don't know. We'll have to figure that out.
Probably.
I'll talk deets with the Donald when I see him. I'm sure that's going to go swimmingly for me. I'll record that too for transparency. We're going to do a recreation of the taco bowl with a thumbs up for next Cinco de Mayo. All right. Moving on to the next item on the agenda. So the annual convention location. So this is something that Mr. Cardin, again, was working on. I was looking at some places in the Bay Area, but obviously leading up to convention, we had some stuff that took precedent over this. Has anyone else done any research, or is there any? I haven't gotten anything from the membership, so I think it's going to either come down to me or Mr. Cardin what we're able to sort out. Seems like everyone is full with the Bay Area from what I remember last time, which is fine. But did anyone else submit a proposal or anything? And we're cool with we can punt this to June, but at the very least. But we definitely need to have something, June, because we have to start planning and making sure that the dates are all squared away and doing all that. So we can talk about this offline on the business list if need be. And then Oh, sorry, there's another person in the waiting room. And then, but this all, just keep in mind, so everyone, if you haven't heard anything or you haven't seen a proposal within the next week or so, well, after convention, next week or so after convention, we really need to, I don't want to have to call a special meeting just to sort this issue out like we had to do 3 times last time. So I really want to have this done by June. I don't think it's the absolute latest we can do it, but I'm going to say that it is the absolute latest we can do it because there does need to be some prep and people need to know where they're going. It still meets the bylaws requirement, the whole bit, but I would like to get this squared away as soon as possible so we can punt this till next time. So just a reminder, next item on the agenda, speaking of the next meeting, Monday, June 17th. Remember, we do have standing monthly meetings now. So this is Monday, June 17th at 7 p.m. So please do put that in your calendars. If, what was I going to say? For those of you, I don't think anyone that's not here, that wasn't here last time. So we don't have anyone that would be removed from the executive committee. We'll just have to tell Mr. Hartwig since he missed tonight. But outside of that, we should be good. Any questions, comments, or concerns on the next meeting? Cool. All right. Moving on to next item, new business. Any new business? Anybody? Business that is new.
What happened with? I guess they just never got back to you, right? The gentleman who wanted our endorsement as running.
Oh
candidate.
yeah, that's a good. They never. So one of them, he never emailed me back. So I don't know if he just got. It was his campaign email. I mean, we can try again if he really wants the endorsement. I can email him later this week again and see maybe he just couldn't make it or just isn't responsive. The other gentleman that called the. So the two that were initially on the agenda, the second gentleman, his name escapes me at the moment, but he does very much, I talked to him, he very much aligns with libertarian values and principles, and he used 2 words during our conversation that I'm very, very fond of. So it immediately got my seal of approval. However, he has not become a member yet, and to my knowledge is not a registered libertarian. So I told him that we couldn't take it up if that wasn't done by Monday, and he was willing to come and, you know, give his pitch for endorsement. So maybe he changed his mind or it got lost in his inbox, but I can try them both again later. I can't keep chasing them. They either, you know, they reached out initially and they wanted the endorsement, and then, you know, one of them didn't meet the criteria in real time when we needed him to. The other one still hasn't met the criteria. So that's what happened. There's no bad blood or anything. I'm just waiting to hear back. But good question. Any other new business or general stuff? All right. Any action items? I don't think we have action items, but the secretary can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, Mr. Chair.
All right. So I'm going to make, so I know everyone's next item on the agenda is everyone's favorite item on the agenda, but I'm going to make this motion and I'm going to explain why after. I'm going to say what I'm going to explain why I'm going to adjourn this way first, and then everyone can understand. So at the recommendation of our parliamentarian, that when I told you earlier during the motion to accept delegates, you know, resignations from their commitments to the national convention, I think 9 people didn't email me back. So everyone was emailed. 9 people did not get back to me in some way or another, whether it be text, phone call, email response. So it is possible that we could potentially have 1 or 2 more drop-offs, who knows, as far as delegates are concerned. And we can't, only the executive committee can appoint new people for the California delegation before the credentials committee meeting that happens on Thursday in Washington, D.C. So to have the ability to, at the last minute, perhaps put someone in that might need to be put in, or that might be requesting a spot that we all agree on that should represent California, this adjourning this way would give us the ability to do that for those executive committee members, assuming that there is quorum at convention. So I'm going to move that I'm going to move to fix the time to adjourn at the call of the chair, with a proviso that if the chair does not call with a proviso that if it's not called by the chair by the close of the credentials committee meeting preceding the convention, the meeting will then formally be adjourned. Does that make sense to everybody? Are there any questions?
If you say it one more time.
Yes. So I move to fix the time to which to adjourn at the call of the chair, with the proviso that if not called by the chair by the close of the credentials committee meeting preceding the convention, the meeting will then formally be adjourned. So for instance, if there are no changes by the time the convention committee, formally begins, at which point it would be a moot point, then it's over. Then it doesn't matter that's when the meeting officially adjourns, so that we can just meet again without having to call, because this kind of circumvents the notice requirement that would have to be given. Does that make sense to everybody?
Thank you.
A little Ronar jujitsu. So, any questions? So the motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Sullivan. So we'll go, this is debatable, but is there any further discussion or debate? Okay, so we'll do a roll call for this one too, just to keep everything on the up and up.
Very well. Mr. Alvstad? Mr. Alvstad, you there?
Yeah, aye.
Oh, it fixed. Look at that. At the end.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Hollisey?
Yes.
Mr. Butts?
Aye.
Ms. Stump?
Aye.
Mr. Dean, I believe, is still not here.
Correct.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Byrd?
Aye.
Mr. Jimenez?
Aye.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. Strachan? And Mr. Sullivan?
Aye.
Oh, and Mr. Apostolopoulos?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the vote is 12 to 0 to 0 to 0.
The chair will vote aye. The motion passes unanimously. All right. So, excellent. I will end the recording now. Oops, just kidding. That's not what I meant to do. Nope, sorry.